Before we start, I hope everyone will press the like button, subscribe, and write a comment. And thanks to everyone who supported the channel. I really appreciate that. The angel replied, "Humans may have a reputation for being inferior, but I never imagined you were this clueless." In the face of the angel's mockery, the players fell into contemplative silence. Then the angel added, "Do you all think you're the sole inhabitants of this world? Goblins, angels, gnolls, orcs, and other races, haven't you encountered them already?" Someone said in shock, "Ah, no way." He seemed to understand what the angel meant. The angel said, "Yes, these guilds hail from different realms. There are 3 races of guild in total: human guild, elf guild, and dwarf guild. You'll need to pick one and serve as their escort." One inquired, "We get to choose which race to escort. Do elves and dwarves also have their guilds?" Another said, "Well, setting that aside, are you suggesting that the elves we've only read about in novels actually exist?" Then the angel added, "The escort mission will last for 5 hours. If you successfully deliver the guild to their destination without harm, the quest will be considered complete. Naturally, you'll face monsters during the journey, but don't fret. You won't be alone." One inquired, "We won't be alone? Are we forming parties like we did in the 6th round?" The angel replied, "Yes. Today you'll be forming large parties, which is quite existing. The 2,166 players here will be divided among the 3 guilds, and you must choose just one guild. If you choose the same guild as someone else, you'll automatically form a party with them. Of course, you won't know others' choices." One player said, "Will we all be moving together with a common goal of protecting the guild? It feels somewhat like joining on a raid in a video game." The angel added, "By the way, each guild has a different difficulty level, so choose carefully. We won't reveal which one is harder." At this time, Ariel provided an explanation for the subquest and said, "As you can see, the subquest revolves around uncovering the traitor. Within the guild you've selected, there will be at least a traitor. We're unsure if it's a single individual or a group." One inquired, "There's a traitor. While we're escorting them, the traitor is with us? Is this akin to the mafia game?" The angel added, "The traitor's objective is to stop the guild from reaching their destination. Naturally, the traitor isn't part of your party. You can attack them with your skills or any means necessary. They can be eliminated. And if you successfully locate and dispatch the concealed traitor, you'll receive a reward for the subquest. Of course, the reward will be granted to the individual who contributes the most." Nods of understanding rippled through the crowd. With this explanation, they now had a clearer picture of what lay ahead. Then the angel laughed and said, "The explanation concludes here. The mission will start in 10 minutes after you've selected your guild. Best of luck to everyone." The angel's departure set off a buzz among the onlookers, and one inquired, "Choosing 1 out of 3, huh? I guess we should aim for lower difficulty." Another said, "Maybe going with the elf guild is the easier path." One added, "I'm leaning towards the human guild. Other races might be too intimidating." The conversations about the quest were buzzing, and Min Jury joined in and asked, "Black Scythe, we have to pick one of the 3 races, right?" Ryu replied, "Yes. In fact, Ryu had a hunch about which one would be the most popular, and he said most folks will probably flock to human, then elf, and finally dwarf. Humans were familiar and comfortable for most, given their shared race. Elves attracted those who had always dreamed of meeting them in the flesh. As for dwarves, they didn't seem as appealing, evoking images of elderly mountain dwellers." And Ryu added, "If I had to choose, I'd go with the dwarves." Having been through multiple rounds, Ryu was well aware of the different difficulty levels associated with each. Dwarf is the easiest, followed by elf, and then human. In other words, the place with the most participants was also the most challenging, and it also contains stronger monsters of a higher level. So if you want an easier time passing the round, the dwarf option is the way to go. In fact, the main quest primarily involves escorting the guild, but just escorting it doesn't guarantee passing the mission, and escorting is the basic requirement for the round clearance, but it doesn't mean you'll pass just by doing that. Rankings are determined based on the order in which individuals acquire the most contribution. At first glance, it may seem like a party quest where everyone escorts the guild together, but in reality, survival is decided by each individual's performance. And Ryu said to himself, if the monsters are weak, you can receive a higher contribution, so it's better to focus on the Dwarf Guild, which has a lower difficulty level, to secure a higher ranking. Aged man no gay might not have known this fact, but Minjuri did. Then Ryu said to himself, I've provided all this information to her through my prophecies. However, Minjuri seemed to be in deep thought, and the reason was quite simple. As the Dwarf Guild has a lower difficulty level, because of that fact, the monsters are weak, which means fewer experience points. And on the flip side, higher difficulty zones offered tougher challenges and higher XP rewards. So it's a choice between low risk and low reward, or high risk and high reward. And she said to herself, I know dwarves are low difficulty, but if I tackle a place that's too easy, my level won't increase much. Then what if the gap between Black Scythe and me widens? Ryu could sense her concern, and he said to himself, unnecessary worries. Even with a low level, Bless provided a substantial buff. In fact, Ryu's hope was for her to survive as long as possible. Then Ryu said to her, democracy, she inquired. Yes? Ryu asked. Why are you so deep in thought? She replied. Oh, it's nothing, Ryu added. I might not know what's on your mind, but remember this, greed can lead to trouble. Try to stay alive for as long as possible. It's a path that benefits you, me, and everyone else around us. Minjuri was taken aback. It felt like he had spoken as if he had her situation in mind. And she asked herself, can he actually read people's minds? And she added, maybe this time I'll take the easier route. When he delved into Minjuri's thoughts, it seemed she had settled on the Dwarf Guild. And he said to himself, if I had known, I would have strongly recommended going for the Dwarf Guild. Aged man no gay was also pondering, but in the end, it seemed he had decided on the Elf Guild. Then Ryu said to himself, Heavenly Demon and Sang Cheol, Seo Arin, Russell, Christine, and the others will decide for themselves. Some would aim for easier places, while others would be greedy and go for the human guild. But anyway, my prophecy should be helpful. I've told them all about the advantages and how to deal with monsters for each guild. However, there was one thing he hadn't mentioned, subquests. He had avoided discussing them. A while later, after 10 minutes, a message appeared in everyone's view. Guild selection begins. Please touch the guild you want to escort. 1. Human Guild. 2. Elf Guild. 3. Dwarf Guild. Then one player said, whatever happens, happens. I'm going for number 1 since it's what I want. Another smiled and said, let's see how the elves look. Number 2. As soon as they chose their guild, the players disappeared as if they had been teleported somewhere. Then Minjuri said, Black Scythe, I'm going for the Dwarf Guild. Want to come with me? Ryu shook his head at Minjuri's suggestion and said, never mind. You go first. Although Minjuri knew about the difficulty levels, she kept her words to herself. She didn't want to endanger Ryu Min by revealing the prophecy, and she said to herself, Black Scythe will probably choose on his own anyway. And before Minjuri made her selection, she bid farewell and said, Black Scythe, I don't know where you'll choose, but I hope you have a good outcome. We might not see each other again, so I'll cast a buff and leave. At that moment, a smile crept onto Ryu's lips and said to himself, you do have a sense of timing. After Minjuri disappeared following her guild selection, Aged Man No Gay also said his farewell, and when he chose number 2, he disappeared. Most people had moved on, but Ryu still hadn't made a selection. It appeared as if he was contemplating, but he had already made up his mind. Then Ryu clenched his fist, revealing his unwavering determination, and said, my choice is to choose nothing. At first glance, there seemed to be 3 choices, but in reality, there was one more, choosing nothing. Ryu hadn't known this at first, and he said to himself, I thought I had to choose one of the 3 without hesitation, and picked number 1. As he explored various strategies from numbers 1, 2, and 3, Ryu began to question the subquest. It was because the traders were the same every time, and he inquired, what's going on? Wasn't the trader randomly chosen among the guild? And while he pondered this question, Ryu made a mistake and missed his guild selection. That was when he realized it. Then he smiled and said, not choosing anything is the best option. Exactly 9 minutes passed, and then an additional message appeared. 1 minute left until your remaining choice. Not making a choice may result in penalties. 10 seconds left until your choice. Hurry, 1 second left. It's really over now. You ultimately did not choose a guild. At last, the message that appeared brought a satisfied smile to Ryu's lips. Player Black Scythe has joined the traitor group. Write a comment and don't forget to like, subscribe to the channel, and support the channel financially. This helps us continue to complete this manhwa. And if you want me to use other pictures of Yamti and the president instead of the AI pictures, write in the comments.